I've been reading a criticism of art by a famous art critic from New York, Jerry Saltz. He's a well-decorated, I guess, scholar, writer, a critic of art. And very early on in his article on how to become an artist, he shares his view of art. And I found it rather interesting and something that I reimagined as a disposition for spiritual life. He says, all great contemporary artists, schooled or not, are essentially self-taught and are de-skilling like crazy. So they're sloughing off the ideas of skill and art and trying to purify the practice or the creation process, as it were. He says, I don't look for skill in art. Skill has nothing to do with technical proficiency. I'm interested in people who rethink skill, who redefine or reimagine it. An engineer, say, who builds rockets from rocks. In 2008, Saltz said, I'm looking for what the artist is trying to say, and what he or she is actually saying, and what the work reveals about society and the timeless conditions of being alive. And as I thought about that and kind of pondered that in relationship to my spiritual life, I think that that really is the call of spiritual investigation, is to rethink our conventions, our assumptions, our perspectives on the world, to not just look at indications of nature and say, oh, that's beautiful, but to look deeper and to see the harmonies, to see the interactivity, the oneness, the way everything depends on everything, and to become constantly aware of unconventional perspectives about being, about the conditions of life, and to learn from them. Because there's this idea that we live Scripture, that life is Scripture. And if you're seeing correctly, from the orientation of being a spiritual being whose nature is love, existence, and bliss, and intelligence, that if you orient yourself from those known truths through the sages, that the confusion of life comes undone. And what's revealed is beauty, is scripture, is dharma, is living, life in its fullest. And we, at that point, are then empowered to enjoy it properly without getting caught and having to suffer.